Hey there! Do you know why one of America's wealthiest men has lived in the same house since the late 1950s? A man with a marvelous $118 billion fortune is probably not someone you would expect to discuss frugality. But investment mogul Warren Buffett's lifestyle is a gleaming example of how you can build wealth by cutting personal costs. Despite his fabulous wealth, the 92-year-old is reputed for his lifelong habit of frugal living. Amidst a global economy characterized by rapid inflation, imitating Buffett on this is highly practicable and effective. Here are some lessons we can learn from the master of frugality himself and how you can incorporate these into your lifestyle and grow your wealth. Keep your hobbies simple. For many wealthy people, leisure typically involves cruising on luxury yachts or hosting expensive private parties. However, Warren Buffett's main pastime is bridge, a card game which he plays whenever he can. He also loves playing the ukulele and has performed at charity events. By keeping your hobbies affordable and simple, you ensure that you can pursue a happy and fulfilled lifestyle, regardless of your economic status. I one time said that I wouldn't mind going to jail if I had the right 3 cellmates, so we can play bridge all the time, Buffett once stated in an interview. Embrace simple ceremonies. For most people, birthdays, anniversaries, and weddings are typically pricey events. Many love to go all out and impress their family members and friends with luxurious parties on their special days. In fact, on the average, American couples are believed to spend around $30,000 on their wedding ceremony and reception. Not so for Warren Buffett. The investment mogul's wedding ceremony with his second wife Astrid took place in his daughter's house and reportedly lasted less than 15 minutes. By minimizing costs on his wedding ceremony, Buffett demonstrated that ceremonies held to mark life's most meaningful milestones can be just as memorable with less spending. Keep that in mind when next you're planning a wedding. Buy simple but thoughtful gifts. Buying your partner an expensive car or diamond jewelry is a great way to affirm your love and dedication to them. However, people often feel pressured into investing more than they can really afford into gifts to impress the people they care about. However, this does not have to be so. Warren Buffett believes in the power of simple but thoughtful gifts. For example, Microsoft founder Bill Gates once mentioned that Buffett, a great friend of his, frequently sent newspaper cuttings that he thought Gates and his wife would be interested in to the Gates house by mail. Moreover, gifts do not have to be limited to material items alone. Several friends of Mr. Buffett have mentioned his habit of making regular phone calls to check up on his friends and family members. Change houses infrequently. A fabulous mansion is a great way to establish one's high social status and enable a luxurious lifestyle. It is no surprise, therefore, that America's wealthiest men typically own the choicest pieces of real estate around the world. Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos owns a royal 28,000 square foot mansion in Beverly Hills, California. Meanwhile, in Washington, Microsoft's founder Bill Gates lives in a sprawling 66,000 square foot mansion featuring an artificial stream among other outwardly features. In contrast, Warren Buffett lives in a relatively modest home in Omaha, Nebraska, where he has lived for over 60 years since he purchased the property in 1958. While it is necessary to live in comfort, maintaining your home for longer periods instead of changing homes can be beneficial to your finances. Avoid the big brands. Wearing an item of clothing from any of the biggest and most recognized fashion brands can give you a trendy and chic vibe. However, branded clothing is typically more costly than non-branded clothing. Warren Buffett avoids high-priced clothing from the big brands, opting instead for suits custom-made by Madam Lee, a Chinese entrepreneur. And does it work? Yeah, it sure does. In a 2017 interview, Mr. Buffett said of his cheap suits, "We get compliments on them. It's been a long time since I got compliments on how I looked, but since I am wearing Madam Lee's suits, I get compliments all the time." Big clothing brands understand that customers would typically associate huge costs with luxury and therefore sell their products at unreasonably high prices. So consider buying unbranded, low-cost, ready-to-wear clothes instead of overpriced branded ones. Doing this helps you save costs while getting valuable clothing. Avoid harmful habits. It is currently estimated that around 28 million American adults smoke cigarettes, while 63% of the population drinks alcohol. While these habits can cause a range of health crises, they can also bring about a serious strain on your resources. At the moment, the average American spends around $800 per year on alcohol and tobacco products. Warren Buffett, however, has never smoked or drank, a smart choice that has seen him live into his 90s. Health is wealth, and a decision to safeguard your health by avoiding excessive consumption of tobacco and alcohol is sure to pay off in the long run. So before we continue, if you're enjoying this video so far, let's give it a thumbs up. Feel free to share it with your family and friends. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be the first to see our updates. Alright, let's dive right back into the video. Get bargain buys. When making purchases, Buffett is always sure to choose price-down articles. For his cars, for instance, the investment billionaire refuses to go for the shiny new ones, preferring instead to choose cars that have had their prices reduced as a result of damage. He typically gets these cars refurbished and goes on to use them for as long as he can. His daughter once stated that Buffett uses his cars until she reminds him that the car state has become embarrassing. Consider going for cheaper used options when making product purchases. They may not be fancy, but they certainly will help you cut expenditure. Gambling. Gambling is a tax on ignorance. This famous quote from Mr. Buffett himself says it all about his stance on gambling. To teach his children a valuable lesson about gambling, Buffett once installed a slot machine in his house and then gave his children their allowances in dimes. The result? He had all the allowance money back by nightfall. Gambling is an incredibly unwise habit that would always ultimately lead to failure for the player and victory for the gambling company. If you must build wealth, gambling is a habit you must stay as far away from as you can. Spend less on food. You would think that a multi-billionaire of Warren Buffett's caliber would live on a diet of the best intercontinental dishes washed down with the world's finest wines. Well, while that is true for many wealthy people, the Omaha-based investment guru is certainly an exception. Mr. Buffett is reputed to eat like a 6-year-old, dining on moderate amounts of food such as sandwiches and eggs. In fact, most of his breakfasts are bought at fast food restaurants where he never spends up to $4 on a single meal. So consider cutting down on your food bill by carefully drawing up and following a monthly food plan, rather than dining on impulse. You can also go for natural fresh foods rather than high-priced manufactured ones. Use more cash, less card. Credit cards may be a convenient way to pay for meals and other items you buy on the go, but this mode of payment may be hurting your finances more than you realize. Warren Buffett always makes his payments for items such as fast food by cash rather than credit card. Using cash limits your spending ability, thereby helping you stay within your budget and avoid buying things you don't really need on impulse. Save more. Once when asked the rule to becoming wealthy, Warren Buffett simply replied, "Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. Buffett is a strong believer in the power of saving. Savings, in his view, is the sure way to preserve value. While most people save funds left after allocating resources to address their various needs and wants, Buffett does the opposite. He advises people to place savings on top of their budget and only spend whatever resources they have left after saving. Keep your phone longer. The biggest phone companies regularly produce and release updated versions of their products. The same applies to other gadgets, such as television sets, laptops, and the like. These new releases are usually accompanied by massive hype and media marketing, with everybody seemingly desperate to acquire this new status symbol. However, Warren Buffett has shown that it is possible to resist the allure of flashy new tech. and save yourself the astronomical prices which these new toys normally carry. For several years after smartphones became commonplace, the thrifty billionaire continued to use a Nokia flip phone. While this is not to suggest that you hit the stores in search of an antiquated Nokia, there is no real need to change your phone with every new iPhone release. Improvise more, buy less. You can avoid spending money to purchase the necessary items you need for your everyday life by improvising from materials and items you already have. When Buffett had his first child, the billionaire converted a dresser drawer to a makeshift sleeping space for the newborn rather than buy a bassinet. There are several DIY videos and tutorials on the internet that can show you how you can utilize materials that you can easily source around the house to create improvised but effective solutions for various needs. So while many believe that earning more is the key to climbing the economic ladder, making the right financial decisions to conserve resources and avoid waste might just be what you need. Need more practical advice on steps to improving your personal finances? Well, click on the link on your screen and check out the next video. We'll see you there.